Let's look at what is expected of us as husbands and wives. Ephesians chapter 5 beginning at 22. I'm going to read each verse and I will explain it as we go along. Okay. Wives, submit to your husbands as to the Lord. What does that mean? You're supposed to submit yourself to the Lord first before you can submit to your husband. You have to submit to Jesus first as your heavenly husband before you can submit to an earthly husband. In Proverbs 18 verses 22 it reads, he who finds a wife, meaning you're already a wife when he finds you. And when you submit to God, as in you trust him with everything, your earthly husband will see that and want more of it. There's another verse that I want to get to that will explain that. Let's move on. For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church, his body, of which he is the Savior. If you can't submit to Christ, you will find it very difficult to submit to your husband. Now, I said in the very beginning, before we started the series, God gives insight to who the wife is. And then he gives the wife insight into who the husband isn't. So we shouldn't be submitting to everyone. You get what I mean? You should be submitting to a man who is God-fearing. You should be submitting to a man who knows Christ, because he will have your best interest at heart all the time. Yes, he might fall short to the glory of God. We're all human. We all do that. But he will quickly turn to God to fix a problem and not try to do it himself. Now as the church submits to Christ, so also wives should submit to their husbands in everything. You see, we trust God with everything. We trust him with our finances, our provision, our heart, our soul, our mental health, our emotions. We trust him with everything. When you are given a godly man, a God-fearing man, you will be able to trust that your family is in good hands. Same goes for women. If you are given a God-fearing woman, you will be able to trust that your family, your children, and you yourself as a man, your heart, your mind, your body, your soul, you can trust that it's safe. And you can trust that anything that goes wrong in the marriage, she will take it to Christ first. She won't take it to her best friends. She won't take it to her neighbors. She won't take it to her colleagues or even her parents. We love doing that. We love going to our mothers and complaining about the men in our lives. She won't go to her siblings, her cousins, anybody else. She's going to go to Christ first. In order for that relationship to last, you have to remain in that foundation, in that firm foundation that hasn't let you down yet. And it never will. Husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her, to make her holy, cleansing her by the washing with water through the word, and to present her to himself as a radiant church, without stain or wrinkle or any other blemish, but holy and blameless. That's the crucifixion. That's all that it is. This is that entire passage from verse 25 all the way down to 27. That is the crucifixion. Christ laid down his life for us so that we may appear holy, blameless, righteous in the eyes of God, so that we may appear pure in front of God. Now what he's asking you to do here as a husband is to let go of all your pride, is to let go of all your anger, your anguish, to let go of all your hatred for previous relationships, for example, to let go of the idea that all women are the same. That's what Christ wants here. See, when a man loves, he loves with everything that he has inside of him. And it's very difficult for him to be vulnerable. Besides the fact that society deems it as weakness, it's also the fact that men don't have a full understanding of the emotions like we do. So when a man is actually vulnerable and he opens up to a woman and he falls madly and deeply in love with her, he will always be in love with her. And when he gets hurt by her, nothing can fix it. He will always be hurt. It's a sad reality. But this passage here, God is encouraging you to let all of that go. When you find your wife, you got to let all of that past pain and hurt, you got to let it go. Let's move on. In the same way, husbands ought to love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. After all, no one ever hated his own body, but he feeds and cares for it, just as Christ does the church. For we are members of his body. This is speaking to abuse. If you are not going to abuse yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, sexually, do not do it to the wives. Do not do it to women. That's what he's saying here. He's saying that you need to love us as much as you will love yourself. However you take care of yourself, you got to take care of us. For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. Men, whatever happens in your marriage, you always take your wife's side. Against the world, you will be united as one flesh. If somebody is attacking your woman, they are attacking you. Your wife needs protection from everyone. And it has to come from you. If they strike her, they strike in you. This is a profound mystery, but I am talking about Christ and the church. However, each one of you also must love his wife as he loves himself, and the wife must respect her husband. So this end part is basically saying that one day we will all be resurrected and we will all dwell with him for all eternity. That's all that it's saying. I just want to quickly take you to 1 Peter chapter 3. Wives, in the same way be submissive to your husbands, so that if any of them do not believe the word, they may be won over without words by the behavior of their wives, when they see the purity and reverence of your lives. This is why it is so important to walk with the Lord first, because we are the foundation. Ladies, I know it's a lot, but we are. We were created to restore and heal and bring so much goodness to the earth. We were created as the help, as the suitors. We were created as God's help. Let's move on. Your beauty should not come from outward adornment, such as braided hair and the wearing of gold jewelry and fine clothes. Instead, it should be that of your inner self, the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is of great worth in God's sight. For this is the way the holy women of the past who put their hope in God used to make themselves beautiful. They were submissive to their own husbands, like Sarah, who obeyed Abraham and called him her master. You are her daughters if you do what is right and do not give way to fear. Husbands, in the same way, be considerate as you live with your wives and treat them with respect as the weaker partner and as is with you of the gracious gift of life, so that nothing will hinder your prayers. This last verse is so important. As you live with your wives and treat them with respect as the weaker partner, that's protection. You have to understand, if you take testosterone and you put it up against estrogen, testosterone wins all the time. Even if you're a bodybuilder, and I'm talking about the women. If the woman is a bodybuilder and she is a little bit more muscular than the man, he will still win. He has got natural testosterone, which works well with the adrenaline that is pumping through his body. And if he's attacked by a muscular woman, he can still overpower her, believe it or not. So this speaks to protection. We need it. Men, we need you to stand up for us. There's just way too many cases concerning GBV. And we need you. We need you to rise up. We need you to rise up as husbands, and we need you to rise up as men. Okay, so the next video I'm going to post will be the last one for this video series. There's so much more information in the actual book. I encourage you to get yourself a copy when it is available. I'm still working on it. I need to finalize a few days. The next one we're going to talk about Proverbs 31.